because I might miss out on some things. It's time for the Behavior Bureau. I wonder what Travis is missing out on. Back with my co-host, Mary Fulginiti. Joining us for the panel, forensic psychologist Cheryl Arrett, behavior expert Patti Wood, author of Snap, Making the Most of First Impressions, and psychologist Wendy Walsh. Jodi Arias, interrogated for the butchering of Travis Alexander, and she's sobbing. I want to say slobbering. That was about sobbing to the point that she's slobbering about the things she's going to miss out on. Cheryl, please help me out here.
Well, her concern is about herself, and that speaks to her narcissism, and it also speaks to the sociopathic bit, I think. She's concerned about what she's going to miss. She's not feeling guilty about what she did to Travis.
Going around the horn, Wendy, I agree with Cheryl, and the fact is I don't think she even understands how a normal person would react to these kinds of situations.
I think so, and she's also using her favorite manipulative tactic is get compassion from somebody. Try to get people to empathize with her, and in some cases it's sexually, and some cases it's tears, and in this case she chose tears.
But Patti, are those tears real or are they fake?
Fake. And think about it this way. An innocent person doesn't hide their tears. They want you to know they're innocent. They want to show you. They lean forward. They show themselves. Her timing of those tears is always dramatic. It's always when she's cornered. It's always when she's not sure she's doing the right thing to fool you. So she covers up with strong emotion, tears.
And Patti, before the show, you told me you had some strong feelings about the famous headstand. We're sort of looking at her getting into that. Tell us what that meant in your opinion.
Actually, that stretching and relaxing out, that's defiance. That's strong defiance. You don't see that in an interrogation room. People are fearful. Their bodies are actually frozen and tense, not relaxed and stretched out. It's so dramatic that she has that energy and relaxation to expand her body out and not protect.
So a headstand is sort of a defiant move.
Isn't that, that's amazing. What does that tell you then about her state of mind, guys, if she's acting defiantly in an interrogation?
I think, I keep saying this, but I know many people may not know what I'm talking about, but check out the movie Chicago. The plot of that film is exactly Jodi Arias' case. She believes he had it coming. She believes that. Now, Jodi's bizarre behavior on interrogation tapes doesn't stop. We have more. Take a look at this.
Is there any way I can see some of those photos? What would you do with him if you could see him? Just look at him. And do you think it would help you? I don't know if it would help me or I don't know, maybe it would.
Cheryl, I guess the simple question is why she would want to see crime scene photos. It's just disgusting. But I have a different thing I'm thinking right now.
What's that?
Remember the first moment she was on the stand and the defense attorney said, "Did you kill him?" Yes. Why? The simple answer is I was defending myself or defense. The posture she took in that moment, to me, reminds me of these yoga moves, strangely in my head. Why am I getting that connection?
Well, you're doing that because of the defiance as well. The simple answer may be that, but what was the true answer? The simple answer, that couching it as the simple answer is a very deceptive kind of thing. And I know why she wants to see the crime scene photos. She wants to see what the evidence shows to assist her in confabulating a story that might match what they have on her.
Patti, I just saw you do a touchdown dance. What do you have to say?
Yes, absolutely. And how she handles it. She wants to look at it very carefully. She doesn't want to lie about something that's very evident in the photos. And
that is so interesting, Patti. You know, I think, tell me too, her smirks and giggles in between, what does that tell you?
Yes, it's actually called duper's delight. She can't help herself when she really feels like she's pulling something over on you during the trial, on the witness stand. Actually, they get so much glee from fooling you, they smile about it, and boy, does that disturb us.
Yeah,
everything.
It's also
everything in the trial.
Wendy, go ahead.
It's also her manipulative tactic again. In between these shows of emotion, wanting to have compassion, there's also this flirtatiousness that she can pull out when she needs to. But I entirely agree. She's a very smart girl. You can still be crazy and be smart. And she wants to see those crime scene photos so she can figure out what her story is going to be. She needs to know what they have on her.
Glee in a moment of manipulation and defiance is a devilish characteristic, guys. Glee, think about it. Next up, a first for the Behavior Bureau, we're adding a guy. This guy And did Jodi flip the bird in open court? And later, we're going to hear from Travis's family, who has been suffering in silence every day. We're going to hear their words in a few minutes.
What's up? Can you take the hand? It's not me. As soon as the detective gets in here. Any chance you could get my purse?
Yeah, I'll get that.
Anybody turn the heat up in here? I don't think you have a sweater I can borrow or something. This is a really trivial question, and it's going to reveal how shallow I am. But before they book me, can I clean myself up a little bit?
You're gonna be taken the way you are.
She said it there herself, how shallow, how empty I am. Back with my Behavior Bureau and my co-host, Mary Fulginiti. Mary, I got a great Twitter. You asked about dissociative amnesia. This is from somebody who calls herself at I love LUVBucks28. I had dissociative amnesia in a car rollover accident, but I remember how it felt briefly, and I remember during, it was a brief fog. My son was actually ejected. It's awful. What's more frightening than that, he's fine, but still. The point being, it's usually kind of spotty. This idea of the fog conveniently is total is a little bit convenient. Please follow us on Twitter at Dr. Drew HLN and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Dr. Drew HLN. And now, for the first time, I'm adding a Y chromosome to the behavior panel with testosterone. Mark Eiglarsh. Mark, lots of requests from, what does that say? It's being questioned for murder. I don't understand what that means, but let me ask you something. She's in there in the room asking for, that's what I'm asking there. She's got a lot of requests in that room. She wants a sweater, and she says, I'm so empty, I'm so shallow. I think she got it right there.
Yeah, there's no question she's shallow, but I'm not harsh on her for that. It's like being upset with, like, Charles Manson for smoking pot. It's such a minor issue compared to what she did here.
Yeah.
Look at the crime scene photos. I'm not too harsh on her for whatever she did. Let her do handstands, let her do tumble salts. She killed a man and claims that she doesn't remember it. Enough.
And Patty, you said to Mary and I something very interesting again before the show about why we, all of us, are so preoccupied with this woman.
Yes, she's absolutely riveting because our central nervous system as a viewer is disturbed in the presence of deceit. So it stresses our bodies out. So we're absolutely compelled to figure it out. What's going on? What's going on? Our flight response, personally, freeze, flight, fall, or faint response, is engaged so much we have to figure it out.
Now, do you think the jury, though, is going to be wanting to figure that out too, Mark? I mean, because I would think, we're wanting to figure it out. Do you think they're going to want to figure it out?
If they're focused on that, then someone's not doing their job. That is not necessarily proof beyond a reasonable doubt of murder. They've got enough. If they're focusing on that, they're focusing on the fat on the end of the steak. They need to focus on the crime scene, her ridiculous story, what she did during, after, and before.
I'm going to go around the horn with Wendy and Cheryl and talk about this preoccupation that we all have. Again, people are talking to me out in the street about this woman, and when I explain to them my thoughts on why I think she is the way she is, they still say, well, how's that possible? Wendy, what do you think?
Oh, well, it is absolutely possible, and I do think, to disagree with Mark, that the jury is trying to figure out if she's lying or not, if she believes her stuff or not, is she crazy or not, and so they're having their own cognitive dissonance between what they see and what they hear. But going back to her and being shallow and asking to clean up a little bit before her picture, I hate to defend Jodi Arias, but we live in a lookism culture. She's a young girl. I couldn't imagine any young girl getting their picture taken without wanting to at least see a mirror first.
Even
everybody would do that.
Mark, go ahead. Mark, would you?
Wendy?
I've seen you get ready for a shot, Mark. Would you still want to see a picture after you've murdered somebody before your mugshot?
Look at Mark's
No,
hair.
I wouldn't. Let's go on the record. But let me respond to Wendy. I agree with you. The jurors are trying to figure her out. But she was on the stand testifying for, 18 days? Like the beginning of the disco crisis? They can't figure her out yet? They need to know what a headstand means?
Right.
I don't think so.
Cheryl, I want to get back to you. I saw you shaking your head when Patty was talking about what we've used a very fancy word called cognitive dissonance. When we have this dissonance and our body goes, huh? We got to understand it. What's going on there? Help people understand why they're so fascinated.
Well, it's funny. Our bodies, almost without our conscious awareness, can pick up on something being off and something being wrong. And you hear Travis's friends talk about this feeling. Sometimes when we sit with somebody who's sociopathic, we sort of feel the hair go up on the back of our neck, and we get this sort of physical response that something doesn't feel right. And I think that's fascinating for people to notice. And also that when we look at someone who's capable of such a horrendous crime, we want to imagine they have kind of, something tattooed on their forehead that they look really boldly different. And I think people are fascinated that this attractive young woman could do something so terrifying.
That's right. There's a lesson here, everybody. Do not assume that other people's brains work like yours does. It's a very important lesson. I hammer my medical students about that all the time. Now, control room, can you show the picture of Jodi using the middle finger there during part of the testimony? There was something that seemed to disturb her. He was talking about watch this. Watch your middle. Oh, how about that? This is we had to blur it because it seems so pronounced the way she was doing it. She didn't like what he was saying. It was a juror question about adrenaline and its levels during a fight or flight response versus premeditated murder.
I agree. We're overanalyzing here a little bit.
I just like that Patty's laughing about this. Patty thinks it's possibly intentional.
Yes, it is. It's a passive-aggressive act, and what you can't see, what I can see without the blur, that tension in the hand, and she's not actually resting her hand on it. It's very unnatural.
Okay, yep. Courts at ease, everybody. Just a second, Mark. Hang on. Take a break. We're talking about next up. Travis Alexander's family has really